How's it going, guys? Welcome to part 3 of our video. Today we'll be going over how to make the actual road today. We're going through how to make the actual bitumen on the road, and we'll also be putting some scattered dust and debris over our concrete blocks. As described, guys, we're going to go on to how to build some of the cool features of the table, how to make the road look like a road. Today it actually starts to look like a table and it gets real cool.
Alright, so first we're going to actually build our pathways. First one we're going to have in this little section here, you can see where the tank will actually drive. One or two outfit 2 chimeras or 1 Baneblade sized tank. Just so it looks cool. I'm using PVC-E, not the foam core stuff. That's different. This stuff's actually, you can spray paint it. It doesn't melt on the inside and it's actually a solid piece. Sometimes with foam core it can actually shrink because you've got the paper on the outsides and then that will warp. Alright, so we've got our piece cut to the right size. We'll cut it down to smaller tiles soon. Before we do that, we'll actually measure out these ones at the end here. Just going to cut them real time. Oh, look at that. That's a bit hopeless. Does look rough. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my nice knife. That bite is unbelievably blunt, but has the same effect anyways. Probably looks a bit better. Yeah, this surface here won't matter too much because you'll see soon you'll get some roads going in there. Chop off that little end piece. She'll fit beautifully. This is a lazy man's way of sanding. Getting a little edge off. Okay, so now we're measuring up this to turn it into smaller tiles to look a bit more like a pathway. And we'll also chop up these ones into smaller tiles as well. A few more minutes from now and they're going to look unbelievably amazing. Okay, so I use a couple of different paints here. We go black first, then we go our Mechanica Standard Grey second, and then we'll do a little sort of hit with the creamy colour. I want to make sure we get all the sides in this step. Now they're white there, we don't want them to all be the same colour. Keep in mind as well, this is actually PVC-E, not foam core, so spray painting it will not make it melt. Our second colour will be the grey. We're going to just go over it lightly. We want the black underneath. There we go, looking good. And now the same with the white. Creamy white. That's it, perfect. These aren't totally finished, but they're good enough to glue on right now. Once we do some weathering on these, they actually look really good. Just using regular old PVA to glue these on. I usually leave them overnight before I start playing around too much, otherwise, knowing me, I'll just end up breaking it, making it worse. Same deal with these ones, we'll just glue them on. Fortunately, my glue is getting low, so I just ended up slopping it on good and proper. There we go. Beautiful. When using the PVA, I actually let them sit overnight to make sure they were on nice and firm. A little bit of weight on them. Okay, so now we're going to mix up our bitumen look. All we want is just some sand or some dirt. I like to use sand because it can be consistent. And we've got some black tile grout. So we stick the lid on, give it a good shake. Get the sand and tile grout mixed together nicely. Beautiful. Next step, get some PVA and some black paint. This is going to be the base colour and our first step of glue before we put the ground covering on. I'll actually brush this on. I didn't actually use the roller. The roller I'm going to need very soon, you'll see why. Getting it painted on though gives it so you can get it nice and thick. With it being good and thick, that'll help it to get the ground surface to stick to it a little bit better. And then we'll do some other special things after. Here we go. Just sprinkle it on, try and get it as flat as you can. Don't want to spend too much time. The other thing you can do is get a shaker. You basically just get a cup or something along those lines. Stick a pair of old pantyhose over the end and shake it. The only thing is that does create a lot of dust and it can cover the rest of the table up with some unwanted ground covering. So we basically just work our way around the table in chunks like that. Just you got to try and get it on while the paint and the glue are still wet, obviously. There we go, just rinse and repeat. You can see the glue and the paint starting to soak into some of it. In the earlier spots we've done, looks actually good. I'm going to try and get this stuff to stick from both sides. Once we've got the whole table done, we're going to brush off all the mixture from the edges. Not going to matter too much, you'll see why soon. But I do want to get it as clean as we can. If you leave too much there though, when we do our next step, after this one, it can actually make the edges look very dark, but you'll see shortly. So I'm using the paint roller now to flatten out all this section. If you go out in the main road, unless it's done pretty dodgy, it's actually flat. So it's kind of like a home steamroller, I guess. Okay, so our next step, once we've got it all nice and flat looking, we're going to give it a spray with isopropanol and water mixture. I tend to mix them about 50-50. The isopropanol helps the next step soak through. It's kind of like a flow aid. I've heard people using vodka as well, but I personally haven't given that a go. That's nice and wet, so the tile grout will actually seal like a concrete as well as our next step. So that'll look a bit more like a road now. This next step, we're going to be doing the next surface, which is the sealer. We're going to have a little bit of isopropanol. Going to go probably 50-50 water and Mod Podge. I use the matte Mod Podge because it dries matte coloured instead of glossy. And it makes everything look really weird if it dries glossy, which is why I don't use the PVA for this step. Mod Podge also has a silicone in it. Not sure the exact name of it, but the silicone actually stops the Mod Podge from shrinking like the PVA does. It's around the point when I started to get sick of this sprayer. Sometimes you can get the nozzle blocked up. So what I've actually gone and done now is done another mixture of ground covering, this time with grey instead of black. I've scattered it around the concrete surfaces a little bit, and I've piled it up higher on top of the old screws we had. Now I'm giving it a spray with the isopropanol. Okay, so I've actually got my nozzle fixed now and I can spray our previous mixture on pretty good. I'll give everything another little hit. And this is going to seal in all of our ground covering and get everything hard as a rock. And that's just about it for this week. Next week we'll be going over how to do some lines on the roads, some imperial quillers which I may or may not ruin, and we're going to paint those paths up, give them a bit of aging. Oh great.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the episode. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you get to see the next episode.